There we go. Thank you for the mic check. So it is Monday, August 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Hope you're having a good weekend, start of a new week. So I'm paying close attention to the dollar as a piece of the puzzle for the bigger picture of the markets. And I'm finding it more inversely related to the stock market than we have seen in the last few weeks. And so just an example, this morning, this was the NASDAQ high of the day, new high of the day with zero follow through. And then this was the low of the day. So just very inversely related. And we've seen this in the past, but not the recent past. So again, keeping a close eye on this relationship, and why the dollar matters so much to us is because we just broke a key double top of resistance. And we're seeing no follow through. So we know when that happens, we keep an eye out to scout rising wedges. So if this were going to be a rising wedge, what would it look like? I would be looking at something like this. As far as support, I don't love where support would be. Maybe something like that. But essentially, if we want to just use horizontal price levels, we can say that if we were to drop down and lose 107.58 support from here, it would be a big red flag for dollar bulls because it would be a double top bull break straight into a pullback. So right now, this tightening 4-hour range is very key. So we have the low of Friday's CPI reaction. Then we have the big breakout as the markets dumped on Powell talking last Friday. And now we're looking for a 4-hour higher low. If the dollar bulls set this 4-hour higher low and head right back to the recent high, they keep full control. If we tighten up in this 4-hour range here and break bear, then again, that is a bigger picture red flag for dollar bulls. If you are bullish crypto or stocks or metals, you want to see the dollar lose 107.58. That would be a big win. Because if we keep this breakout going on the dollar, we are likely going to remain weak in stocks and crypto. So bull break with no follow through, watching very close over the next couple of days. The NASDAQ, we know, had a big red day on Friday. Bulls trying to bounce today. They're battling the high of the day right now. So this is the high of the day on the morning, a bull break with zero follow through. And here we are testing it again, trying to keep the 15-minute higher lows going here. If we lose the 15-minute higher lows without breaking the high of the day, it'll just be an hourly lower high and a tightening hourly range into tomorrow. So bears are trying to take over right now, at least in the short term. They're trying to regain some momentum in their favor. And so right now I have some shorts on, top fishing the high of the day on QQQ, protecting the long positions that I have open from today as well. And it looks like QQQ bears are close to shaping up an hourly lower high. If we pull back towards 305.42 support, we'll then be watching for a 15-minute head and shoulders to potentially shape up on QQQ. So that's the backdrop of the things that I'm watching for the broader market. As far as where does Bitcoin stand relative, we can see the 15-minute. We've been consolidating here for the last couple of hours. We had a big bounce on the morning with the broader stock market. So the daily bounce is underway. But we're not in a 4-hour uptrend. So right now, this is a pattern of a higher low every 4-hour candle since the bottom. And if I'm going to believe that this daily bounce can see any follow through, we must confirm the 4-hour uptrend. So that is now the next goal for the bulls. Patient bulls that did not participate in this bounce, that are looking for an entry, will be scouting 4-hour higher low entries. But keep in mind that we are in a downtrend on every single time frame right now, monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hour. And we are in uptrends on the hourly, but most time frames are in a downtrend right now. So you have to determine how aggressive do you want to be if you are looking bullish. And the other kind of bull entries are when we have extreme RSI levels on a ton of time frames aligning with each other. That's what we call our super stack alert. When we are oversold, not just on one time frame, but on 3, 4 time frames. And we saw that last night where we were oversold on the daily, 4-hour, hourly, 30-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute. So 6 time frames all oversold together, and that marked a climax bottom at 19.5 for Bitcoin. And here's the Trader Pro for Ethereum, couple 4-hour super stack alerts going off. But again, marking those temporary bottoms, because for the 4-hour super stack alert to go off, it is telling you 4-hour, hourly, blah, 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 all those time frames are oversold at the same time. So that tells you we're likely to see at least a short-term bounce from here. And it might not be the big 4-hour bounce. Here it was just a bear flag initially, but it was all the short-term time frames cooling off their RSI and getting that bounce underway, which is why we want to be aware of those alerts, because they do give nice short-term or even longer-term trading opportunities. So Bitcoin must confirm a 4-hour trend change. We just had a little bit of a rising wedge form. Again, when you break resistance with no follow-through, you scout rising wedges. So a little rising wedge broke bear. And so now hourly consolidation is underway. So we're looking for an hourly high or low. Anything above 19.7. If we lose the hourly high or low, we'll zoom out and we'll scout a 4-hour high or low. So that's essentially what I'm watching in the short term. Bigger picture, what's it going to take for a weekly high or low to form? And in recent live streams, I've talked about, what do I think is the most likely scenario? I laid out a scenario where it's possible Bitcoin breaks 17.5, but lacks follow through. And altcoins, because they had bigger bounces, form weekly higher lows. I'm watching for that to be a possibility. Obviously, the bulls would prefer if Bitcoin can hold 17.5, form a weekly higher low, but we need a 4-hour uptrend. We then need a big enough daily bounce with that 4-hour uptrend to then be scouting a daily trend change, and a daily trend change back to the bulls will have us confident the weekly higher low is being set. If we were to set the weekly higher low, we would look to trade within this tightening range for a few weeks. We've got a holiday to start September, so we know we're likely to see some slow trading then. We know weekends have been slower overall. So it could take a couple weeks to play out if we form a weekly high or low. I am much more confident that Ethereum and altcoins that look like it are going to form a weekly high or low, because again, just how much space we have to work with and how much retracement we have seen at this point. Bitcoin has retraced 70% of the bounce, and Ethereum has retraced 54% of the bounce. So it is a different setup between the two. A little bit more weakness here, QQQ. So let's look at the comparison between Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. Who's stronger, who's weaker? We're bouncing. A little bit of relative strength out there today. And again, trying to change the trend. We want to see it if you're a bull, you want to see it in an uptrend. Just treat it like a trend. Anything under 168 is just a lower high. We have to confirm a daily trend change to the bulls for us to start seeing consistent relative strength comparative to the stock market. If we just set another daily lower high and the downtrend remains, then we're going to remain relatively weaker. Same thing with the NASDAQ. We're looking for a weekly high or low. We have a lot of space for it to form. We're in a daily and an hourly downtrend, so the bears have full short-term control, but we are scouting a weekly high or low. So that's where a lot of traders get confused. If I'm looking, how can I be looking for two different things on two different time frames? And that's when understanding the relationship between these time frames, and once that starts to become clear to you, trading starts to become a lot more clear. I'm scouting weekly high or lows. I'm aware that the bears have full control of the daily and the hourly trend, referring to stocks at the moment. And I need an hourly uptrend to start a daily bounce, and then I need a daily trend change to try and shape up for a weekly high or low to be set. So I'm scouting weekly high or lows in a lot of places, but I'm not aggressively doing so. I'm passively doing so by watching, all right, bears, show me what kind of control you've got with those shorter term trends. And once I start to see them changing back to the bulls, my conviction for the weekly high or lows will start to grow a little bit. So same thing for Bitcoin. The only difference is we just don't have as much space to work with to find that weekly high or low. The best case for bulls would be a 4-hour trend change to the bulls, a bounce back up towards daily EMA 12 and lower high resistance at 21.9, and then an inverse head and shoulders confirming the daily trend change and confirming the weekly high or low. So I don't necessarily think that that's the most likely scenario, but I just want to be aware what is the best case for the bulls, what is the best case for the bears. So I want to lay out those two different polar opposite viewpoints so that I have a more complete view of where we stand and try and eliminate bias a bit. So long story short, it's all about the 4-hour in the short term and the weekly in the long term. The dominance chart is still near its lows. So this is showing us that, again, if you told me that crypto would be very weak, I would have told you there's an 85% chance the dominance chart is breaking bull and seeing a weekly bounce underway. So this is showing us that Bitcoin is dropping just as fast as altcoins. So to me, that is showing altcoins holding up a bit better. The fact that we're not seeing altcoins dropping 10% when Bitcoin drops 5% is standing out to me. It's a different environment. Because again, we would not be expecting to see the dominance chart at the lows during weekly consolidation if we're going off of what the last year and a half patterns have been. At this point, it's probably the last 2 years of patterns. So Ethereum, overall, we know it is holding up better, but short term, it's the same. Daily downtrend confirmed. And one of our last live streams, the thumbnail was, are these bear flags? And the answer is yes. The bear flags confirmed. So 4-hour, same thing. We're coming straight off the low. We traded sideways a little bit, but we still don't have a 4-hour uptrend. And bulls on Ethereum have a lot of space for a 4-hour higher low to form. Next consolidation now. So bulls scouting a 4-hour higher low. If we confirm the trend change from there, we'll zoom out. Daily resistance is 1722. And again, bulls want to shape up an inverse head and shoulders to try and shape up a weekly higher low. If Ethereum bulls confirm a 4-hour trend change from here into tomorrow, I will be paying a lot more attention towards potential weekly higher lows shaping up. But one time frame at a time, bulls still have proving to do. ETH BTC is a weekly bull flag. Again, regardless of whatever your opinions are on the fundamentals of the merge and whether it's good or bad, this chart is telling me it's good, as long as this remains healthy. And this is a weekly bull flag because we have a daily downtrend confirming with not much bear follow through. Bear break to a lower low, straight into a bounce. Let's see if we can draw some visual guide trend lines here. Like that. Plenty of touches of both to be valid. And if this were to continue forming and eventually break bull, it would be a weekly bull flag. So relative strength for Ethereum over Bitcoin standing out big time over the last 6 hours or however long it's been there. And again, that is a welcomed sign if you are bullish any altcoin. You want to see the altcoin BTC pairing with relative strength. Speaking of that, Litecoin, this is a visual guide I was just keeping an eye on. Let's get rid of that. But Litecoin has a much bigger bounce underway. It's been a lead bull. It's been stronger than Ethereum and Bitcoin over the weekend. We've got our left shoulder, our head to the lower low. If we fail 58.31, it's just a daily lower high, but we'll be watching for a trend change attempt. And the pattern, or I should say the pairing that we've been pointing out for ever, LTC BTC is breaking bull, just has one level left, at least in the short term. So this was the visual guide for me, just a tightening range. We broke bull, but as far as confirming the first weekly uptrend with a clear higher low and higher high in a long time, years, we are on the verge of breaking bull. That would be very notable. Hasn't happened yet. We might reject and we might pull back in a daily consolidation. But if that breaks bull, Litecoin will be showing continued relative strength against Bitcoin. And again, a surprising spot in the market for that to be happening, in my opinion. I would have expected if that's going to break bull, it would happen in a bull market in terms of having confidence and people throwing money around to the smaller altcoins. But this is, I mean, the fact that Litecoin is consolidating less significantly than Bitcoin during a big daily drop, I mean, that's been unheard of for the last couple of years. So certainly paying attention to that pairing, which is on the verge of breaking resistance. It's still testing it at this point. If you're a swing trader, you know, you're aware of the weekly, watching for higher lows, but really it's just the daily lower highs that are all you care about. If we're setting daily lower highs, you're comfortable as a swing trading bear. Just don't get caught blindsided if weekly higher lows do shape up. And again, if weekly higher lows are going to shape up, it likely means that the dollar has broken its double top and gone straight into weekly consolidation, which again would show bulls exhausted and out of momentum, at least in the short term. So in my opinion, that has to happen for weekly higher lows to shape up in stocks and crypto. What if you're a bear? If you're a bear, at this point, you're watching for daily lower highs. I mean, if you want to be a day trading bear, you're watching for 4-hour consolidation, which is certainly shaping up. But if you are a more patient bear, you're watching for daily lower highs. So you're watching to see, can we confirm the 4-hour trend change? If we do, then maybe you're a little bit more patient. Maybe you're waiting for daily EMA 12 resistance. We have to keep in mind that we want to determine the most likely scenario on a time frame and then zoom in from there and get confirmation that that is indeed playing out or not. So just an example, Adam over the weekend had a 4-hour bounce underway. And that 4-hour bounce was decent in terms of, 5% plus, but we knew the most likely scenario was a lower high. Why did we know that? Because we had just dumped into that bounce and we weren't over EMA 12 resistance. It was just a bounce looking for the lower high. So we then zoom in. And we zoom in and recognize that a rising wedge is forming. Easy to do in hindsight, but you can also do it in real time. Adam keeping an eye on a potential 15-minute rising wedge, scouting the 4-hour lower high. And so that was at 9:52 p.m., which is right here. And we then rolled over from there into over a 10% pullback. So again, zoom in, determine what is the most likely scenario on a longer term time frame, zoom in and watch for the clues that it is being set. QQQ, I'm watching for an hourly lower high to be the result of the bounce over the last 3 hours. I zoom in and I can see a rising wedge type pattern where the bull break is starting to lack follow through. And this is part of the reason why I grabbed that short position, top fishing the high of the day. So now an hourly lower high is set on QQQ. Well, not officially, but on the verge. And we just got a tightening sideways range here. And we're probably going to end the day that way with an hour and 40 minutes left to go. Bulls could still save it here, but if we pull back under 305, we're going to be right back in the middle of a sideways range that we've been trading within all day. Adam is still a daily uptrend, but bulls have to be cautious of the daily head and shoulders. We saw the scenario where Adam was a lead bull up until August 24th, 25th. What happened to Bitcoin on August 24th, 25th? Well, we topped out on the 26th, and that showed us further bear follow through. And so we had an example where Adam was a laggard bear. So from that top, Bitcoin over the next 3 days pulled back 11%. Adam, the stronger coin, over the next 3 days, the previously stronger coin, it pulled back 20%, almost twice as much. And so that's the example where, in one of the recent live streams, I was saying if the Bitcoin bears keep control, look for the stronger names to be laggard bears. And CHZ was another one, and it didn't pull back as significantly. But Adam has to be cautious of a daily lower high being the result of this bounce, because if we confirm a daily downtrend from here, that's going to be a notable shift in momentum. And same thing on Adam BTC. Adam BTC is stronger than the US dollar pairing right now, so we would have to see a lower high and confirm a daily downtrend. And the Adam BTC pairing has not been in a daily downtrend in a long time. Months. Over a month. So it'll be notable to us if that were to happen. So keep an eye on the BTC pairing to see if a daily lower high is going to shape up, because we did consolidate fairly significantly over the last 6 days. Overall, we can see a solid green day out there today. XRP, Doge, some of the weaker names. Binance is one of the weaker names as well after being a lead bull. Binance BTC is still strong. Keep an eye on this short-term support on Binance BTC. I mean, we got a triple top, but we are trading sideways here. This tells me that Binance is going to significantly strengthen or weaken comparative to Bitcoin in the near term here, this week. We're likely going to break this sideways range this week. And again, it's worth watching for, because if we're sideways, Bitcoin and Binance are doing the same thing, and there's no real difference. But depending on the direction that we break here, we will start to see a notable difference between the two. And the best case for the bulls would be this bear break of support with zero follow through, and then a Binance BTC bull break setting up a weekly higher low on Binance USDT. Keeping an eye on this 12-hour tightening range on Binance USDT. And again, we got tons of space for a weekly higher low on Binance. So bulls really want to see that BTC pairing break the sideways triple top bullish for the weekly higher low to try and be shaping up. All right, I'm reading the chat room now. Checking in on my open positions. US cannabis having a day. It's just churning some shares. ETH USD, if you're looking for lower over the next week, that's fine. We're in a daily downtrend, but you need to ensure that ETH BTC weakens more than this, because this is telling us there's a lot better places to be a bear than Ethereum. There's a lot of BTC pairings in weekly and daily downtrends, while ETH BTC is attempting to form the weekly bull flag. So it doesn't mean an ETH bear can't be profitable. It just means that there are better places to be a bear. I never like looking at the hex charts because the volume is just not there. But it's doing the same thing as Bitcoin. Weekly bounce, pulled back more than the bulls would ideally like to see, over 50% retracement. And bulls need to shape up a daily trend change back in their favor for a weekly higher low to be set. But again, there's days here, at least on Uniswap, where we trade $50,000. Average volume is more like $350,000, but again, that's still nothing. So it personally does not meet my volume criteria to be anything that I would trade. QNT BTC. Nice tightening range. Definitely worth paying attention to. Not sure what I was drawing long ago. But we've got the high, higher low, lower high, higher low. So anything under 545 is just another lower high. And there's the potential that this tightens up for another week plus, and then eventually gives us a clear break. And again, same deal. It would significantly shift how QNT is trading relative to Bitcoin, stronger or weaker, how this tightening range breaks. So worth paying attention to these tightening BTC pairings. And QNT is a nice and clear one. What Ethereum trade would I be looking for? Honestly, I'm looking for the weekly high or low. If I'm looking to be aggressive, I'm looking to enter when all time frames align oversold, which just happened. Again, that super stack alert firing off, showing us 4-hour, hourly, everything oversold. That's where the most aggressive bulls are looking. You know, if I make an entry there, if I scale in 1450, 1430, and I exit half at 1500, I'm now risk-free with a stop under the low. So that's when I'm in aggressive mode, that is how I play the bounces and sell partial to be risk-free. If that's the weekly high or low, I nailed it. If it's not, I stop out, break even, and go back to the drawing board and remain patient. But I was not looking to be aggressive in the current setup. So a patient bull is looking for a 4-hour high or low. Ideally, 15-minute oversold conditions. You could look for 5-minute to try and shape up a 4-hour high or low. Or you could just rely on trends. Once we lose the 15-minute uptrend, 4-hour consolidation is underway. And then we have to regain a 15-minute uptrend for the 4-hour high or low to then be set from there. So if I know that I'm focusing, again, it's everything I just talked about. If I know I'm focusing on the 4-hour, and the 4-hour most likely scenario is a 15-minute high or low, I zoom in. No, let's try that again. If the most likely scenario on the 4-hour is a 4-hour high or low, I zoom into the 15-minute and I watch for the 15-minute downtrend that is taking place during 4-hour consolidation. I look for that to change to an uptrend to give me the indication that's the 4-hour high or low being set. So if I make an entry off that, I put my stop under the low at that point. If it breaks, then I'm wrong. The 4-hour high or low is not set. And if it doesn't break, then I enter on the 4-hour high or low, and we then confirm the trend change into further daily bounce follow through. But I personally, I would need to see notable dollar weakness, which is possible. We might get it. But I need to see notable dollar weakness if I'm going to have any confidence looking for weekly high or lows. I may be on the sideline for a long time. You know, what if I don't get a clear weekly high or low that I like and it forms without me, then I'm just going to wait for a tightening range that may take a month. The more we pull back, the more we can stay within the range that we've already established for a while. So we have to keep that in mind as well. We may need to see some significant patience. But I am scouting 15-minute, I am scouting weekly higher lows in stronger alt bulls. I'm scouting it in Binance. I'm scouting it in Ethereum. The names that had the biggest bounces from our fear lows have the most space and the highest probability for weekly higher lows to form. SNX weekly higher low is set. Do we have a daily uptrend confirmed? Not exactly. It's not clear to me. But we confirmed the daily bear flag straight into a break of resistance, which is very notable, and there's increasing bull volume. So as far as I'm concerned, 260 is the weekly higher low, and we're looking back up at 444. And without looking, I know SNX BTC is breaking out, probably in a big way. Need to see the weekly break there. It would happen on the BTC pairing first if we're going to have hope of the US dollar pairing doing it. There's a clear uptrending resistance line to be keeping an eye on to ensure that we see follow through if we do get a break. So nice, strong lead bull the last 3 days. And we'll see how long the bulls can keep that together. Really, it was the last couple hours that started, huh? So we'll look for a 4-hour higher low next consolidation. We are in a 4-hour uptrend. How long can the bulls maintain the 4-hour uptrend from here? Ape. So again, an aggressive bull. Daily oversold, 4-hour. Well, we didn't quite get 4-hour there. It wasn't the same setup as Bitcoin. But an aggressive bull looking for a weekly higher low, yes, is scouting. Determine what time frame matters most to you. If I'm scouting a weekly higher low, the first baby indication of a weekly higher low will be a 4-hour trend change. If I want more confirmation, I'm waiting for a daily trend change to try and shape up. Right now, this might be a 4-hour equilibrium. If we top out here, it's a 4-hour lower high, and then we'll look for a pullback and a higher low. So again, most alt bulls, if you're looking for an entry from here, you're looking for a 4-hour higher low off the low of the drop from yesterday into this morning. That's what aggressive bulls are looking for altcoin bullish entries. OXT. A lot of space for a daily lower high. We will be scouting a weekly higher low, anything above 8 cents. Don't have a ton of space to work with. We do have declining volume, which is good for the bulls. But we need to change trends. We're in a 4-hour downtrend. Yes, I'm going to call that a double top just because that upper wick. So this is bulls needing a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders to change the 4-hour trend. Then we zoom out. We scout a daily lower high, anything under 11.5. We then need a daily trend change to shape up. So it's one time frame at a time, and it's got to start with the 4-hour. So SHIB, also scouting a weekly higher low. 4-hour bounce broke resistance. We've got space for the 4-hour higher low to try to form. Next consolidation, we need the 4-hour trend change to bulls. Then we zoom out and scout the daily lower high. Same thing, we need a big enough bounce on the daily. We need the 4-hour trend change to bulls. We need a big enough bounce on the daily to try and set up the inverse head and shoulders. That's the only pathway forward, aside from some kind of wild news spike. Elon Musk tattoos SHIB on his nipple. We need 4-hour trend change to try and set up a daily trend change. All right, just a couple more here. DOT. 4-hour, big move, breaking resistance, good sign. Lots of space for the 4-hour higher low. Can we confirm the trend change? If we do, we zoom out. Daily resistance, 778. Can the bulls shape up the inverse head and shoulders on the daily to try and shape up the weekly higher low? Any name that is breaking the 4-hour lower highs is giving themselves more space to work with for that 4-hour trend change attempt. I mean, the path forward is there as to what has to be done, but the checklist is long for the bulls. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. For bears, you just got to don't let the daily lower highs break. That's it. So it's more work for the bulls to change the trends in their favor, but we can see the path forward of what would shape up a weekly higher low. It's just a question of, does the dollar cooperate? Does the broader market cooperate? Or do we just bounce for a daily lower high and drop down to fresh lows? If the dollar sets a 4-hour higher low and breaks to higher highs, and stocks drop to lower lows, that's on the table as well. Bears are comfortable as long as we're in a daily downtrend. So it's going to require days. It's going to require at least 3-4 days. Bounce for a couple days, top out, pull back for a few days, higher low, to shape up that trend change. So it's the less likely scenario right now just because it's going to take more work, but those probabilities will shift if we confirm a 4-hour uptrend. The probabilities will shift a little bit. All right, last coin. Link BTC. Double bottom down here. That's a base of support. We'll call it a triple bottom. So it's trying to be falling wedgy. Again, when you break support with zero follow through, you scout a wedge. So I'm going to the 12-hour to try and find that wedge. Just as a bit of a visual guide. Support line with plenty of touches. Let's go to the 4-hour. We could probably just do it on the 4-hour. So I could either draw my anchor from up here and it would be a steeper resistance line. That's probably where I would do it from. I'd like to include this action right here and just make it a little bit tighter on that visual guide, which would pretty much be going from this anchor point. But either way, what I care about is the base of support and the bulls trying to shape up a weekly high or low and needing to get over 3411 to do so. So as far as BTC pairings are concerned, this is one of the stronger ones just because we didn't drop to that lower low yet. ADA BTC, also one of the stronger ones. Trying to find a weaker one. Again, this is the dominance chart is at its lows. So we got a lot of BTC pairings that are showing us some relative strength. That's honestly one of the biggest points in favor of scouting for weekly higher lows for me is just altcoins are holding up better than Bitcoin, or at least a lot better than they would have under similar market conditions at any point over the last 2 years during a daily solid drop for Bitcoin. All right, 4-hour. Bulls must confirm trend changes. If we do, we zoom out and watch our daily resistances to see if bulls are able to shape up a big enough bounce for a trend change on the daily to try and shape up. We're watching the dollar and key resistance, needing to see further weakness. We're watching the stock market, needing to try and shape up a weekly high or low as well. So again, the NASDAQ is nowhere near doing so. We can see this 4-hour bounce on the NASDAQ. I'm much less confident that a 4-hour high or low can form here than I am on some of the crypto bounces, which are much more significant. But all those little pieces are going to be clues to try and answer the question that we're watching for the next week or two. Can we shape up weekly higher lows in crypto? In my opinion, it is the most likely scenario in altcoins more than Bitcoin. It's just a question of when. How much more consolidation do we have to see? And we're going to know a lot more by Wednesday when we check in again, next live stream, because by then we'll know whether we confirm the 4-hour trend change. We'll see whether the daily bounce had a couple days of follow through to try and create space for a trend change, or whether we just topped out and rolled over to fresh lows to keep the daily downtrends going and to keep bears confident. Appreciate you all tuning in. We've only got 86 likes. Let's get that to 100, please. And I'll be back on Wednesday to check in on the setups from there. Do good things.